Ever wondered about the most mind-blowing skyscrapers that were almost built but never touched the sky? Imagine a mile-high tower in Chicago, a twisting spire over Lake Michigan, or a Dubai megastructure twice the height of Burj Khalifa, all designed, planned, even partially built, but never completed. These weren't just buildings, they were bold statements of human ambition, and today, we're diving into 7 of the most jaw-dropping skyscrapers that never became reality. Let's go! The Illinois. Imagine standing at the base of a 1-mile-high skyscraper. Yes, you heard that right. 5,280 feet of pure architectural ambition towering over Chicago. This wasn't a sci-fi fantasy, it was the bold vision of legendary architect Frank Lloyd Wright in 1956. If built, the Illinois would have been the tallest structure on Earth by an absurd margin, dwarfing even today's Burj Khalifa by over 3,000 feet. Wright wasn't just designing a skyscraper, he was reinventing the city itself. He believed Illinois could replace dozens of buildings, centralizing urban life into one 528-story vertical metropolis. It would have included apartments, offices, hotels, schools, and even parks, all stacked into an elegant, tapering glass and steel tower. The cherry on top? Atomic-powered elevators that could travel at 60 miles per hour, making stops feel as smooth as a whisper. So why don't we see the Illinois piercing Chicago's skyline today? Simple. It was impossible to build. The 1950s lacked the materials, engineering, and economic backing to make it a reality. Wright's idea was too far ahead of its time, and without today's advancements in super-tall construction, it never got off the ground. But was it a failure? Not at all. Illinois inspired generations of architects, pushing the boundaries of what skyscrapers could be. Maybe one day, when technology catches up with ambition, a mile-high tower will finally rise, and Frank Lloyd Wright's dream will become reality. Miglin-Beitler Sky Needle. Imagine a Chicago skyline dominated by a sleek 1,999-foot tower, nearly double the height of the Willis Tower. That was the dream behind the Miglin-Beitler Sky Needle, a project announced in 1988 that could have made history. If completed, it would have been the tallest building in the world at the time, an architectural marvel designed to redefine the city's skyline. The tower was the brainchild of real estate developers Lee Miglin and J. Paul Beitler, with the legendary Caesar Pelli designing the structure. It wasn't meant to be just another skyscraper. This was supposed to be a towering beacon of wealth and prestige, with its sleek cylindrical shape and a design optimized for office space at dizzying heights. But ambition doesn't always align with reality. Despite its groundbreaking vision, the project faced major financial hurdles. Then, tragedy struck. Lee Miglin was brutally murdered in 1997 by the infamous serial killer Andrew Cunanan, the same man who later killed fashion icon Gianni Versace. After that, the project lost momentum and was eventually abandoned. Today, the Miglin-Beitler Sky Needle remains a fascinating what-if in Chicago's architectural history, a skyscraper that could have changed the city's skyline forever, but instead faded into the pages of forgotten dreams. London Millennium Tower. Imagine a 1,270-foot futuristic tower rising above London, reshaping the city's skyline forever. That was the vision behind the London Millennium Tower, a dazzling proposal by renowned architect Norman Foster in the late 1990s. This skyscraper wasn't just tall, it was a glass-clad giant, designed to be a self-contained vertical city with offices, apartments, and even parks stacked within its soaring 92 stories. Sounds incredible, right? Well, not everyone thought so. The tower was meant to be built in Canary Wharf, but Londoners weren't exactly thrilled about it. Critics feared it would dominate the skyline, overshadowing historic landmarks like St. Paul's Cathedral. Aviation authorities also raised alarms. Its height posed a serious risk to flight paths over the city. With mounting opposition and government pushback, the Millennium Tower never left the drawing board, but instead of vanishing completely, its DNA lives on. Foster didn't let his vision go to waste. He adapted parts of the design to create 30 St. Mary Acts, better known today as the Gherkin, one of London's most iconic skyscrapers. So while the London Millennium Tower was never built, it still made its mark, proving that sometimes even rejected ideas can lead to something legendary. Palace of Soviets. Now picture this, a 1,362-foot skyscraper in the heart of Moscow crowned with a massive 328-foot statue of Lenin, staring down at the city below. This wasn't a scene from a dystopian novel, it was a real plan by the Soviet Union in the 1930s. A project meant to showcase communist supremacy through sheer architectural dominance. The Palace of Soviets was supposed to be the tallest building in the world, towering over everything with its over-the-top grandeur. Designed to host government meetings, massive rallies, and communist ceremonies, it would have been the ultimate symbol of Soviet power. Think gargantuan halls, intricate Stalinist designs, and an enormous Lenin pointing toward the future because, of course, what's a Soviet skyscraper without Lenin? Construction actually started in 1937, but then came World War II. Steel meant for the tower was repurposed for war efforts and the foundation was left abandoned. After the war, Soviet leaders lost interest and the dream of the Palace of Soviets crumbled into history. Today, the site where it was supposed to stand is home to the Cathedral of Christ the Savior, a symbol of Russia's shifting history. The Palace of Soviets never materialized, but its bold, almost surreal vision still fascinates architects and historians alike, a reminder of how architecture can be as much about ideology as it is about engineering. Watkins Tower. What if London had its own Eiffel Tower but even taller? That was the grand vision behind Watkins Tower, a 1,200-foot steel giant that was supposed to dominate London's skyline in the late 1890s. It was dreamed up by Sir Edward Watkin, a railway tycoon who wanted to outshine Paris and turn Wembley into a tourist paradise. The tower was meant to be the tallest structure in the world, featuring observation decks, restaurants, and even amusement rides at different levels. Imagine standing at the top, looking down at Victorian London from a height no one had ever experienced before. It would have been breathtaking. But here's where the dream fell apart. The project faced massive engineering and financial issues. The land was unstable and construction was riddled with setbacks. By 1899, they had only completed the first 154 feet, and the half-built structure became a laughingstock, mockingly called Watkins Folly. By 1907, the failing project was scrapped, and the skeletal remains were demolished. The site didn't go to waste though. Fast forward a few decades, and Wembley Stadium rose in its place. So while Watkins Tower never soared into the sky, its ambitious spirit still lingers in one of the UK's most iconic locations. A bold dream that London simply wasn't ready for. Chicago Spire. Imagine a 2,000-foot twisting skyscraper piercing the clouds over Chicago's skyline. A spiraling marvel unlike anything the world had ever seen. That was the vision of the Chicago Spire, designed by renowned architect Santiago Calatrava. If built, it would have been the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, redefining the city's architectural legacy. The design was breathtaking, a graceful, swirling structure inspired by the movement of smoke rising from a fire. This 150-story residential tower was meant to house luxury condos with 360-degree views of Lake Michigan. Celebrities and billionaires were already eyeing it as the ultimate status symbol. Construction actually started in 2007, and Chicago prepared for its next iconic skyscraper. But then the 2008 financial crisis hit hard. The funding collapsed, lawsuits piled up, and the developer, Garrett Kelleher, drowned in debt. By 2014, the project was officially dead, leaving behind nothing but a deep, abandoned hole in the ground, a stark reminder of what could have been. Today, that empty foundation still sits there waiting for a new dream. The Chicago Spire was meant to be a futuristic masterpiece, but instead, it became one of Chicago's greatest architectural what-ifs. Nakheel Tower. Think the Burj Khalifa is tall? Imagine a skyscraper twice its height, a mind-blowing 3,280-foot tower standing over Dubai like a futuristic giant. That was the vision for Nakheel Tower, a structure so ambitious it seemed like something out of science fiction. Originally called Al Burj, this 200-plus story megastructure was meant to be the centerpiece of an ultra-luxurious district. It wasn't just about height. This tower would have included residences, hotels, offices, parks, and even sky gardens, essentially creating a vertical city. The inspiration? The Alhambra, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and Islamic architecture blended into a modern engineering marvel. So why didn't it happen? Simple: money and timing. Announced in the early 2000s, the project gained momentum but was crushed by the 2008 global financial crisis. The Dubai real estate market collapsed and funding dried up. By 2009, Nakheel Tower was officially cancelled, leaving behind nothing but blueprints and speculation. Had it been built, it would have shattered every height record, making Burj Khalifa look like a mid-sized building in comparison. But instead, Nakheel Tower remains a symbol of Dubai's boundless ambition, one that, this time, reached just a little too high. And that's a wrap on 7 of the most incredible skyscrapers that never got built. Each one was a vision of the future, but for one reason or another, they remain just that, a vision. Which one fascinated you the most? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more amazing architecture content only on DwellScape.